In this video, I'm going to show you how to run payroll and process payroll taxes using Sage Business Cloud Payroll. To give you a quick overview of what we will be covering in this video, here's a snapshot of the key points. Feel free to pause the video now for a detailed look at these points. You can also find a detailed index of the video in the description below. Sage Business Cloud Payroll is a separate application from Sage Accounting, and I'm logging into the Sage Payroll account from a separate web page. We covered this in a previous video, so I'm just going to quickly brush over adding a company. Enter a company number and company name. Upon clicking Next, you will be directed to the Cycle Details section, which is the next essential step in setting up your payroll in Sage. For this demonstration, I'm adding a monthly cycle. If you want to learn more about payroll cycles, what they are and why they're important, check out my previous video. There I explore various payroll cycles and explain how you can implement them in your business. The next step after establishing a payroll cycle is to enter the company details. There are 12 fields to complete. The required information includes standard business registration details, so it's advisable to have all your organization's payroll registration numbers at hand for this exercise. Follow along with me as we explore the setup of company details. We start with the company registration number, pay-as-you-earn reference number, which is your SARS employer registration number. If your number is not correct, the system will give you an invalid number message. Notice that after I've entered the pay-as-you-earn number, that the STL and UIF numbers are automatically completed. The trade classification has to be completed. I'm going to use code 2572 for other business services. The UIF registration number, which is the registration with the Department of Labor's Unemployment Insurance Fund, will be filled in, and it is not the same number as the SARS UIF collection number. From the Standard Industry Classification menu, select the most appropriate industry category for your business. There are numerous codes to choose from. If the business does not qualify for the Employment Tax Incentive Scheme, you can select the reason from the provided options. If it does qualify, leave the selection as not selected. If the business works in one of the 6 special economic zones, you can select it. Complete the fields for the business physical address. If the postal address is the same as the physical address, the fields will automatically populate when you tick the default from physical address box. The details of the contact person with SARS is compulsory if you submit returns to SARS. Lastly, if the details for the UIF contact person are the same as those for SARS, I can also tick that box for quick completion. Before we save the company details, let me add the company's logo, which will look really nice on the reports and employees' payslips by uploading it from my PC. It looks good, and I finished the logo upload by saving it. A quick review confirms that I've completed all the required fields and my last action will be to save these settings.
When you log into a cycle, you'll be taken to the dashboard page, which provides a comprehensive snapshot of the quantity of employees, a calendar for the month, and other pertinent information.
One of the most helpful features on this page is the pay cycle status, found as you scroll down. This feature includes 6 steps that can guide you through the payroll process, making it especially valuable if you're not very experienced with payroll tasks. Let's quickly review these steps. You'll see how this guide is an excellent tool to assist you during the payroll process. I encourage you to explore and utilize this valuable feature of Sage. Starting with the first step, simply labeled Company, you'll find options to add a new company and view company details, which we have already covered. Additionally, this section highlights that you can set up benefit funds. We'll explore this feature shortly. The second step, labeled Cycles and Manage Pay Periods, has already been covered in our previous video. The third step is labeled Employee, where you can view employee details and add new employees. The fourth step involves setting up leave according to your company policies and compliance with the basic conditions of employment. The fifth step involves managing the payroll. In this phase, Sage automates the payroll processing. It's not done manually by you. This step includes access to reports, ACB and Netcash setups, ensuring seamless integration from payroll processing to the actual payment of salaries into employees' bank accounts. The sixth step is the final phase of the payroll process. It includes posting accounting journals, submitting UIF declarations, issuing payslips, and generating monthly reports. In this step, you'll notice the next button turns pink and is renamed Rollover, signaling that once you complete these tasks, you can move forward to the next payroll period. We can start the process again by adding new employees, updating leave records, processing payroll, conducting reporting, integrating to accounting systems, and rolling over, continuing cycle after cycle. It's a good idea to set up any benefit funds your organization manages before adding your first employee. Before you begin setting up benefit schemes, ensure you have the correct fund details. Know which type of earnings contribute towards the benefit fund and understand the percentage of earnings that will be calculated for contributions, as specified by the fund's rules, well ahead of your first processing month. This thorough preparation guarantees that once processing begins, all calculations will be accurate. If there are any mistakes in the initial setup and you've already processed payroll transactions to any benefit scheme, you'll face the cumbersome task of rolling back to your first processing month to make corrections. This highlights just how crucial a correct initial setup is to avoid complex issues later on. Let's get it right from the start to ensure a smooth payroll process. So, what are benefit funds in South Africa? These funds help employees save for retirement and provide coverage against risks such as disability, as well as support for the employees' families in case of the member's death. Employers typically deduct contributions for these funds from employees' salaries and often make matching contributions as well. These funds are regulated by the South African government to ensure proper management and protection. When you click on Set up Benefit Funds under the Company Setup in Step 1, you will reach the Manage Benefit Fund screen. Here you can set up two types of benefit funds: pension funds and provident funds. Now you might wonder what the difference between these two funds is. Let's break it down. Pension funds. When you retire, you can take up to 1/3 of your total savings in the fund as a lump sum. The rest, which is about 2/3, is paid out as a monthly income or annuity. This setup helps ensure you have a steady income throughout your retirement. Provident funds, on the other hand, were initially designed to give you all your savings as a lump sum when you retire. This gives you more flexibility with your money, but doesn't guarantee a monthly income later on. However, recent changes in the law are making provident funds more like pension funds. In the future, if you're part of a provident fund, you'll also need to use 2/3 of your retirement fund to buy an annuity, providing you with a monthly income, just like with a pension fund. You might have noticed that retirement annuity funds, or RAFs, aren't included in the list we've discussed. That's because RAFs are personal retirement saving plans. They're set up and contributed to by individuals, not by employers. While employers can choose to contribute to RAFs on behalf of their employees, it's not mandatory, and the individual still maintains control over the fund. Later in this video, I'll explain how to set up these contributions as a tax-saving benefit that reduces the monthly pay-as-you-earn dues for your employees. Let's add a pension fund for this demonstration. First, you'll need the fund name, and very importantly, the clearance number provided by the fund. Please note, you must obtain a valid clearance number. Without it, the setup will not work and you'll encounter validation errors from SARS if the number is incorrect. Next, describe the fund and decide whether the contribution will be based on a percentage or fixed amount. Since I've chosen a percentage calculation, I need to specify what the calculation should be based on. For this demo, I'm selecting percentage of specific earnings, and it will be based on 100% of the basic actual salary or fixed amount. Often, other variable incomes like overtime or allowances are excluded from the pensionable earnings. Your fund's rules will clearly indicate whether it's a defined contribution, defined benefit, or hybrid fund. For this demo, I'm selecting defined contribution fund as the type. I'll set the employee contribution at 7.5% and match this with the company contribution also at 7.5%. During the payroll run, you'll see exactly how these contributions reflect on the payroll and the employee's payslip. Finally, I'll save these settings. Let's add a Provident fund, which many of you may encounter in your payroll setups. Start by entering the fund's name and its description. Since the percentage calculation is already selected, I will specify that it's based on 100% of basic earnings and fixed salary. Press OK. The contribution type for this fund is a defined contribution. We'll set the employee contribution at 9% of basic salary, with the employer matching this also at 9%. I realized I omitted the fund clearance number, which is crucial for setting up your company benefit fund.
Now I realize this numbers game can tie your tongue. I remember others who have had trouble.
Let me quickly add that number. Now I'm ready to save, but the system prompts me to select either basic salary or fixed salary. I'll correct that by removing the fixed salary. It's important to choose one salary type, either basic or fixed, as the system doesn't allow for both. Click OK and save again. And there you have it, an example of how to set up a benefit fund. The biggest takeaway from this section is the importance of adding your benefit funds before you add your employees in the setup process. Ensure you have all the necessary correspondence with the fund on hand, including details like the fund's name and clearance number. Also be clear about the type of fund, whether it's a defined contribution or another type, and other aspects like the base amount for contribution calculations and the percentage contributions from both employer and employee. Moving forward, the next step in our payroll setup is to add your employees' details. Accurate entry of this information is crucial, as it ensures that employees are paid correctly and that all legal deductions are made properly. This accuracy also facilitates the correct declaration of taxes in compliance with South African employee tax laws and enables the precise issuance of IRP5 or IT3A certificates to both the employee and SARS. By adhering to these legal requirements, you not only comply with the regulations, but also protect your business from potential fines and legal issues. Although you can import these details if you have a larger team, for today's demonstration, we'll be adding employees manually to guide you through the process step by step. In a future video, we'll cover how to import bulk employee details. Make sure to stay tuned to our channel so you don't miss out on that essential guide. We are now in the third step of the 6 steps required to run payroll and process payroll taxes, which involves entering each employee's information directly into the system. Under the quick links, find and select Add New Employee. Adding a new employee also involves 6 steps, as indicated on the top title bar. We'll briskly walk through each step, showing you exactly what it entails. The first step is to add the personal details of your employee. Employee code, title, initials, first name, second name, surname, ID number, date of birth. Unfortunately, Sage does not automatically fill in the date of the birth from the ID number, so this must be entered manually. Passport number and passport country. Required if the employee does not have a South African ID number. Indicate whether the employee is an asylum seeker or refugee. Leave these boxes unticked for our example. For demonstration purposes, I'm using fictitious information. Click Next to go to step 2 of completing the employee details, which covers the employee's contact details, starting with the physical or residential address. Use the default from physical address button to autofill the postal address. Work address. Speed up the process by using the company's default address. Home telephone number, if available. Work number must be filled in as Sage requires it to save the employee. Cell number. Email address, where the employee's payslip will be sent. Emergency contact details. Again, I'm using fictitious details for this demo. Click Next to proceed to step 3. Payment details. The default setting is cash, but let's select Netcash for its advantages, especially when doing the payroll for a larger organization of faster and easier than manual bank payments, more secure, reducing the risk of fraud, preventing errors, and allows simultaneous payments to all payroll employees. However, a message indicates that Netcash setup is required, which I haven't done and won't cover in this video due to its complexity. Instead, I'll choose to pay the employee via electronic transfer. Filling in fake bank details to demonstrate. Keeping bank details in your payroll system ensures all employee information is conveniently located in one place. Next, the fourth step involves entering this employee's specific employment details. Start date. When did the employee start working? Job title. Department. I'm quickly adding a marketing department. Tax calculation. Taxes will be calculated according to the statutory tables. RP5 certificate start date. This is the same as the employment start date. Employee's income tax number. If you or the employee don't have it, it's not a major issue as it can be obtained during the RP5 certificate lodgement phase. SIC code, automatically populated from the company's details. Voluntary over-deduction of pay as you earn. No additional deductions was requested by this employee. UIF deduction. UIF must be deducted. Therefore, I select Not Selected for exemptions. The employee must not be excluded from UIF, Skills Development Levy, or the Occupational Injuries and Diseases Report. Click Next to proceed to the fifth step of the employee setup. We'll briefly explore the Employment Tax Incentive, or ETI, which is designed to encourage employers in South Africa to hire young job seekers. The ETI enables qualifying employers to receive a pay-as-you-earn tax refund, reducing the amount of pay-as-you-earn taxes they need to pay. This incentive applies when hiring individuals aged between 18 and 29 who earn less than 6,500 Rand per month. For those of you who are business owners with little to no experience in managing ETI, there is no need to worry. Sage Business Cloud Payroll significantly simplifies this process. By following the system's prompts and accurately answering questions in the ETI section, you can efficiently manage this incentive. Sage takes care of all the necessary calculations and eligibility checks, allowing you to benefit from the pay-as-you-earn refund if your employee qualifies. Under the ETI setup, you will find a section for ETI history during the first period of employment. The system provides options to review and select periods during which an employee was previously employed and claimed ETI, either within your company or an associated institution, to prevent prohibited duplicate claims. You are guided by the system in determining if the employee is still eligible for further ETI benefits by tracking and recording employment history across associated institutions. This ensures that the ETI is claimed correctly and that all the regulatory guidelines are followed, helping you comply with the law and avoid penalties. Once you click Next, you'll be taken to the sixth and final step of the employee setup. Here we focus on recording the employee's contractual hours and salary rate. Simply enter the annual salary or any specific rate, and Sage automatically calculates and fills in the remaining rates for you. Upon clicking Finish, the employee details are updated and saved in the system. While there are additional sections to update before we can run a payroll, let's first address potential issues with validation errors. We encountered no validation errors in the employee setup we just completed because all the information entered met the predefined criteria or rules. These rules ensure that data is entered correctly, all the required fields are completed, and legal requirements are adhered to. Now let me illustrate what happens with validation errors by adding another employee. This time I will intentionally omit certain information. I'm now adding the employee's basic details, such as name, surname, ID number, and I'm correcting her date of birth to match the ID number. A common validation error that I'm addressing right now. However, I will not be filling in her contact information, and for payment details I'll choose electronic transfer, but intentionally leave some bank details incomplete. It's important to at least know the date the employee started working and their position. I'm quickly assigning her to the finance department to fit her role. For taxes, I'll use the statutory tables but skip entering the tax number. Next, I'll proceed to the ETI section, skim over it and move on to the hours and rates. This time, I will add the rate per day, and the system will automatically complete the rest of the fields. After clicking Finish, the employee is saved and loaded into the payroll system. You will notice an exclamation mark next to the employee's name indicating invalid IRP5 information. The IRP5 validation button will show what is wrong or outstanding with the employee data provided, and there is a long list of information I still need to complete, specifically addresses, telephone numbers and bank details. The incomplete fields are also marked with orange font descriptions to guide you on what needs to be completed. Let's jump onto it and quickly complete the outstanding information. I am saving the progress to demonstrate how the system updates and stores the information, even though the validation error remains as expected. Now, let's click on the IRP validation button at the top of the page to see what's still needed, which in this case is the bank information. This example shows that you can save the information you have at any point. If you need time to gather additional details, you can do so and then return to complete the process where you left off. For me, that means adding the work number and bank details next. I'm choosing not to enter the tax number right now to demonstrate that you can proceed with your payroll setup even if you don't have the employee's tax number initially. As you can see, the validation error has now disappeared, indicating that it's not critical for processing to the next step. If you need help obtaining an employee's tax number, check out my video on how to find an employee's tax number using eFiling on my channel for a detailed guide.
Now let's take a look at the employee take-on form.
A useful tool provided by Sage Business Cloud Payroll. This form streamlines the onboarding process by enabling new employees to input all necessary details themselves, reducing your administrative workload. You can access this form by navigating to Reports at the top of the screen. Then, in the left sidebar, select Employee, and finally, New Employee Form. Click Preview to view the form. As you can see, it's neatly organized with all the fields that your new employee needs to complete and submit. For your convenience, this form can be saved in PDF format. Additionally, I will leave a link in the video description where you can download the form directly from the Fun Accountant's website.
We've now captured all the employee details. Before we move on to other payroll-related settings, let's set up the Leave module in Sage.
Navigate to the top menu and click on Leave. Under the company, Leave Setup, tick the box to use the Leave module at no additional cost. Upon activation, you'll see a message box confirming that the Leave module is active. It's important to note from this message that you must ensure all your employees' leave balances are updated when you activate the module. While the Leave module provides default leave entitlements based on the Basic Conditions of Employment Act, if your organization offers more generous leave entitlements, these balances need to be manually updated for existing employees. Press OK and you'll be presented with sections for all the standard types of leave. The annual leave entitlement of 15 days is already pre-populated, as are the entitlements for sick leave and family leave. You'll also find options for maternity leave, parental and adoption leave, as well as study leave. For this demo, which is just an overview of the capabilities of Sage Business Cloud Payroll, I won't go into the specific regulations and options for each type of leave. Simply showing you the available leave options is sufficient for now. Click Save to activate the organization's leave module. Next, let's go to a specific employee's details, where you'll notice that the leave section in the menu is no longer grayed out and is now accessible. Once the employee's leave start date is entered, you can begin adding leave transactions. The rest of the payroll setup takes place on the employee payroll screen. As part of this, during our setup of benefit funds, we touched on Private Retirement Annuity funds, which are managed by the employees themselves. However, we can configure the payroll so that the employees receive tax benefits on their contributions. As the employer, you need to know 3 key things. First, the amount the employee contributes to the fund each month, the start date of these contributions, and thirdly, the fund's clearance number. After entering these details, click Save to preserve these settings. Next, we will move on to setting up medical aid for this employee. We have chosen a company-managed medical aid plan for illustrative purposes. Let's add 3 beneficiaries: the main member, our employee, and his 2 dependents. Assume the employee's contribution is 2,500 Rand, matched equally by the company at 2,500 Rand. Once you press save, the system automatically calculates the medical aid tax credit. This credit will be factored into the employee's tax calculations, ensuring all benefits are accurately reflected. We have completed the setup for this employee using the options available in the top navigation menu. Now we'll shift our attention to the additional setup tasks within the Payslip submenu. Here we'll review the individual's earnings and deductions that are beyond their main income, as detailed in the Hours and Rates tab. Continuing from where we left off, let's demonstrate by assuming that the employee receives a travel allowance. Navigate to Earnings and click on the plus sign to add an additional earnings type. Select Travel Allowance and specify 8,000 Rand to be paid every month. After pressing OK, the travel allowance of 8,000 Rand will now be automatically added to the payslip each month. We also want to add a 13th check, which is a standard practice for many organizations. To do this, click on the plus sign next to Earnings. Select Annual Bonus from the list of earnings, and then click the box for the system to calculate a 13th check. You'll be presented with more options. For example, you can choose when the 13th check should be paid. For this employee, it's during his birthday month, August. We will also make provisions for taxes to be spread out every month until the end of the tax year, ensuring that the employee's tax on the bonus is evenly distributed. This allows him to receive this bonus without a large amount of income tax being deducted all at once. Press OK to save the information and return to the payslip setup. Turning our attention to the deduction section, you'll notice that tax, UIF and medical aid have already been added. Now let's set up a pension fund for this employee. Start by expanding the list of deductions and locate Pension Employee Contribution. Remember when we added the pension fund earlier? The Alex Jones Endurance Fund now appears on our list for selection. As soon as you select it, the details of the contributions for both the employee and the employer are displayed, including the base earnings and the percentage of those earnings that will be contributed. Then, choose the date from when the pension fund contributions will start and press OK to save the settings. You will notice that the pension fund has an effect on the employee's tax because pension fund contributions are an allowable deduction from tax. I am now scrolling through all the headings at the top to ensure we have covered everything, starting with the private RA, medical aid, and payroll transactions for this employee. We'll review the year-to-date transactions, noting that only the March month column currently contains values under various categories such as earnings, deductions, company contributions, fringe benefits, private RA, provision for tax on the annual bonus, tax deductible deductions, medical aid information, the net pay, and lastly, the total cost to company. The year-to-date section serves as a valuable tool for quickly identifying and correcting any glaring abnormalities. By allowing you to compare figures month to month at a glance, it simplifies troubleshooting and ensures payroll accuracy throughout the year. It's important to realize that the payroll run itself is quite simple. The real effort lies in the setup. Once that's complete, executing the payroll run becomes straightforward. Now that we have completed the payroll setup for this employee, let's generate a payslip by downloading one so that we can review it together. And here it is, a professional formatted payslip that meets the legal requirements as proof of income, providing evidence of the employee's earnings over the specified period. This document plays a crucial role in compliance, helping you to resolve any disputes over employment terms and wages. The payslip details the amounts deducted for taxes and other statutory and voluntary deductions such as pension, contributions and UIF. This transparency helps employees understand how much of their earnings are allocated to these deductions, serving as a vital record for personal financial management and tax filing. Additionally, payslips include information about company benefits that contribute to the total cost to the company for an employee, which is important for employees to understand their benefits usage. Up until now, we focused on setting up payroll for an employee with fixed monthly salary. This setup ensures that the employee receives a consistent amount each month, regardless of the number of hours worked. Now let's explore how to set up payroll for an hourly paid employee, where the pay depends entirely on the number of hours worked. This type of payroll is particularly useful for businesses that employ part-time workers or those who have varying work hours each week and a timekeeping system is in place. Begin the setup by going to the Employee section in the top navigation menu and select Employee Details. From the left menu, choose the employee whose details you want to open. Click on the Hours and Rates tab. Although the employee's salary was initially entered when we added the employee's details, to switch to hourly payment, simply mark the checkbox labeled Employee must not be paid unless hours or days worked are advised. Press Save to apply these settings. Next, let's set up a private retirement annuity for Jane Doe, further familiarizing you with the payroll setup. Remember to click on the plus sign at the right-hand side of the screen to add the retirement annuity. Assume the employee contributes 500 Rand per month, starting from the 1st of March. You also need to enter the clearance number of the fund, which should be provided by the employee. Once all the details are correctly filled in, press Save. Let's add medical aid, which is in this case also managed by the employer. Therefore, select Company under the type of medical aid. It's important to accurately fill in the number of beneficiaries. This detail is crucial as it affects tax deductions and must be updated with changes in the employee's status, such as the addition of a newborn child. For this example, let's assume the employee contributes 4,000 Rand and the company matches the employee's contribution. Once all the information is entered, press Save. With that, we're done with the medical account setup. We have completed the setup using all the options available in the top navigation menu. The remainder of our payroll setup occurs under the Payslip section. Because we have configured the system to require hours for processing the payroll, we need to enter both the normal and any overtime hours worked by this employee, typically obtained from a timekeeping register or an automated system. Let's now add the working hours for the month under basic salary. I'm entering 160 hours and the system will automatically calculate the pay based on the hourly rate we entered earlier in the employee details. After you've checked that all the details are correct, press OK. Now that the basic salary for the month is calculated, let's return to the payslip to enter the overtime hours. These are added by clicking the plus next to earnings. First, let's address the normal overtime, which is paid at 1.5 times the regular rate. I'm adding 8 hours of this type of overtime. Simply enter the hours and press OK. Next, we handle the double overtime for work done on Sundays and public holidays as required by law. Here I'm entering 16 hours of double overtime. Once you've input these hours, press OK to finalize. Continuing in the earnings section of the payslip, I'll now demonstrate how to enter a variable reimbursement payment type. A travel reimbursement for the use of an employee's own vehicle. Employers typically reimburse employees at a rate per kilometer based on a logbook provided by the employee. This logbook should at least contain the date of the trip, the purpose, the destination, and the kilometers traveled for business purposes. Assuming I've received such a claim from the employee, I'll select reimbursed kilometers under the limit, which means the company pays an amount less than or equal to the rate prescribed by Revenue Services. Under reimbursements, I will choose the last day of the month and the total kilometers traveled for the month as claimed by the employee. The rate per kilometer is already set in the system and the total reimbursed amount will be automatically calculated. Then click Add. As you can see, the reimbursed amount now appears under Earnings. Click Back to Payslip to return to the main frame of the payslip. As you can observe, with this employee, there is a variety of variable information that needs to be entered each month, including hours worked, different types of overtime, and travel reimbursements. These variable entries are typical in payroll management, reflecting the dynamic nature of payroll tasks. Let's continue with the payroll setup and shift our attention now to the deductions. The system automatically computes legislative deductions for UIF and tax, and the deductions we've covered during the employee setup are already reflected. Many hourly paid employees have Provident funds set up for them. So let's go through how to add this to the payroll setup. Click on the plus sign to open up more payslip specific deductions. Select Provident Fund from the list of deductions. Choose the fund that the employee belongs to, which we set up earlier, and select the date from when the fund becomes applicable to the employee. Details of the fund, including employee and employer contributions, the portion of earnings it is based on, and the percentage contribution are displayed. These details were previously established when we added the fund in the benefit fund setup. Once you press OK, the Provident Fund contributions will be calculated during each payroll run for this employee until the arrangement is terminated. I believe this covers enough examples of deduction setups that you are likely to encounter. Click back to Setup and let's explore more aspects of the payroll setup. An important area to address is the provision of fringe benefits, which are significant payments made by the company on behalf of the employee. A typical example is the non-taxable bursary provided by employers for employees' children's primary education. This bursary is a financial grant aimed at assisting with educational expenses. For primary education, the bursary is exempt up to R20,000 per annum, provided the employee earns less than R600,000 per annum. I'm entering an amount of R1,650 per month, which will be paid directly by the company to the educational institution each month. Back at the payslip, we observe no change in the tax deduction, which is correct, as this payment is processed separately from the payroll. Let's now examine the transactions that disclose the earnings, deductions, company contributions, fringe benefits, and the system calculations. In the year-to-date section, you'll find the same types of details as in the transactions section, except these are compiled for each month that the payroll is processed. This section concludes with two crucial figures: the net pay and the total cost to company. Let's now add a leave transaction for the month. In the leave section, click on Add New Transaction. Assume it's annual leave. Using the calendar provided by the system, select the start and end dates for the leave taken. There's also a comment section where you can provide additional details about the leave if necessary, such as the reason for absence. If required, you can attach a document like a leave form or medical certificate in the designated section. Complete the process by clicking OK. You'll see a message confirming that the transaction was successfully added. With this, I believe I've covered the standard payroll aspects you're likely to encounter. Now let's take a look at the payslip that will be issued to this employee. We'll start downloading the payslip. Once opened, you'll notice that the payslip is neatly organized, displaying all essential information, including earnings, deductions, and net pay. Additionally, you will see that the leave taken, 1 day in this case, has been accurately recorded, reducing the initial allocated 1.25 days of leave to a remaining balance of 0.25 days. The next part is very exciting. After all the groundwork, we've laid a solid foundation and basically completed a payroll run. All the payroll data for each employee has been pre-populated and entered into all applicable fields from the company and employee setup information file. The next step is to view payroll reports and review them against your input data to ensure the payroll run is accurate. The standard reports are found in the top navigation bar. I'll show you the reports most commonly used by payroll administrators, but feel free to explore all the reports at your own pace. Most of the reports I use to run payrolls are under the Financial tab. Let's start with my favorite report, the Pay Register. This summary payslip report provides condensed information about each employee, offering a clear overview of their earnings and deductions. It assists in scrutinizing the accuracy of the payroll and concludes with the grand totals for the entire organization. Back to reports, we are still in the financial section of the reports menu. Next, let's explore the year-to-date detail report. We have a few options here, and we will select Include Employees with no transactions to identify any omissions from the payroll. It's not really necessary, but let's also select show additional information, medical aid info, and retirement funding information. Press the preview button, and to get a better view, I'm going to save it as a PDF file. Upon opening it, you will get a report of all the transactions per employee. And lastly, a summary of the whole organization. Let's head back to reports and look at the next report, which is the medical aid report. I haven't shown that you can isolate a report to view specific employees by clicking on the drop-down list where you can select who to view. For this example, I'm going to leave it as is and select all. Again, to view the report, click Preview and save it for a PDF view. The medical aid report that you can view right here gives all the information as we have captured it during the company and employee setup. A very important report is the Payroll Variance report, which shows any variances between the previous and current periods, greatly helping with accuracy before the payment run is executed. Since we only covered the first period with this demo, there is no data reflected. Since we have recorded hours, and if you ever have to pay employees by the hours and unit input report may be valuable. This report offers many options, such as sorting options and the type of earnings to view. I don't want any earnings excluded, so we'll leave it as is. By hitting the preview button, you can access a great deal of useful information. Now, let's explore the retirement funding reports by printing a year-to-date detailed report per employee for all three types of retirement plans. You can switch between the retirement plans, but for the demo, let's leave all three selected for all the employees in the payroll and press Preview to display the pension and Provident fund details. Next up is the EMP 201 report, which is needed to process payroll taxes. The payroll month is already completed for March, so I'll leave the settings as they are to print employees with current month values. Select Preview and the EMP 201 report for submitting pay-as-you-earn, STL and UIF is displayed. If needed, you can save this report, which is what I'm doing now, to have a better view of it. Once saved, open the report to view it in PDF format. The comprehensive EMP 201 report will show the current liability, each employee's contribution to the total amounts, and finally, the payment summary. This summary is the most important part as it highlights the totals that need to be entered on eFiling and submitted to SARS. Now, I'll guide you through the steps to enter this information into SARS eFiling in order to process payroll taxes, correctly report and pay it. At the SARS eFiling website, log in with your username and password. In the left sidebar menu, select Return Issued. Then, Employees Tax. At the top, you will see the reporting date. Press Request Return to access the return for that period. If you intend to claim ETI, click OK. For our example, we have no ETI claims, so select Cancel. This will still activate an EMP 201 return for the organization, but the ETI fields will not be available to fill in. A return summary line will open, displaying the organization's name, reference number, tax period, type of return, return status, amount due, due date, and an open link that we can click to access the EMP 201 return. An EMP 201 work page will open. Click on EMP 201 again to open the monthly employer return, where we will capture the information. The employer details are already pre-populated, but it is compulsory to enter the contact details. Once that is done, we can refer back to Sage's EMP 201 report to obtain our financial details. The first field under the payroll tax calculation is the pay-as-you-earn amount, followed by the skills development levy, and lastly, the UIF. Checking these amounts ensures that the payroll liability agrees with the Sage report. There are no further fields to complete, so I'm going to save the return first and then press continue. Back at the EMP 201 work page, let's open the EMP 201 return to submit it. Instead of saving it and then opening it again, you could have filed the return directly, but I just showed you the save option so you know about it. Now I'm going to submit the return to SARS by pressing the File Return button. You have to accept the declaration by clicking Confirm, and then the result is displayed, indicating that your return has been successfully submitted. Click Continue, and a pop-up message again confirms that the return has been successfully submitted. Click Close, and let's proceed to make the payment. I'm going to click the Pay Now button and then click OK to proceed with making the payment now. Although you select Pay Now, you can still determine when the payment will actually go through the bank. In the next step, I will show you how this is done. On the payment details screen, select the bank account that you have already set up in SARS eFiling. At the payment request date, we can specify the date on which the payment must be made by clicking on the Calendar button. For June, the latest date for the payment is the 7th, which is a Friday, and still within the deadline. Then press the Pay Now button, and another message will pop up confirming that the payment must be authorized by the owner of the bank account. Click OK and then Confirm. A final message will appear, giving you a last chance to change your payment. Once you click OK, the payment instruction will be submitted to your bank. This is the message you want to receive, stating that the payment was successfully submitted to your bank. In my case, FNB. I always save the confirmation at this point, as you will not get another opportunity to print or obtain proof of the payment made on SARS eFiling. Before we proceed, I want to inform you that the payment has not been finalized yet. We still have to approve it on the bank side. So let's do that quickly. I'm logging into FNB. Then heading over to Payments. Under the Payment screen, there is an eFiling link. Click on it to view the transaction details. On the left, open the menu options and select Submit eFiling Payment. Next, click the checkbox in the transaction line and press Continue at the bottom. We are still not done, as I have to authorize the transaction now as my last step to fulfill the EMP 201 payment. It is all done. The transaction is authorized and I can press Finish. And that's it. That's how you get the EMP 201 amounts, fill them in on eFiling, complete the payment on eFiling, and authorize the bank transaction. We explored several key reports available in the Sage Business Cloud Payroll system, each providing valuable insights into different aspects of payroll management. We have only covered a few reports, and I encourage you to use these and others we did not cover to help ensure a smooth and efficient payroll process. Now let's move on to the UIF declaration. In the top navigation bar, you'll find a link to the UIF submission. This feature allows you to email your UIF information directly to the Department of Labour, and you'll receive a submission report from UIF as proof of your compliance. This makes UIF compliance straightforward and hassle-free. Let's get into it, shall we? All the information we captured during the company setup is now proving to be valuable, as the required UIF fields are pre-populated, and all we have to do is select the type of run. Of course, we will select the live option and then click the green Submit UIF button. A pop-up message will appear titled Send Successful, stating that your UIF submission has been emailed to the department and that a copy has been emailed to you. You should receive an email immediately as acknowledgement from the department titled Declarations. There isn't much to this email other than an attachment, and even the attachment's data is only text. This is the confirmation of the declaration received. Back in Sage Payroll, when you click on the OK button, a UIF submission report will appear. This report is valuable to keep it in case of a UIF audit, as it allows you to trace the amounts back to the original source document. Most importantly, there is the UIF error report, and fortunately there are no errors to display. After the Labour Department has processed the UIF return, you should receive a confirmation email acknowledging receipt of the file and confirming it was processed without errors. These emails are important to keep as proof of compliance. And there you have it. This just shows how easy and quick UIF submissions are with Sage Business Cloud Payroll. By using this streamlined process, you can ensure your submissions are accurate and compliant, saving you time and reducing stress. We've completed a payroll run and processed payroll taxes. What about paying your employees? Back at the financial report menu, we're going to explore the Nett Pay List, which provides each employee with their payment method, bank details, and their net pay for the month. Let me introduce you to Netcash and its salary payments service. This service integrates seamlessly with Sage, allowing you to upload payment files directly from your payroll. The process is simple, secure, and effortless, requiring no further capturing of amounts in your bank account. No matter the bank or number of payments, you can have peace of mind knowing that everyone will be paid on time. To access Netcash, go to the top navigation menu, click Payroll, and then move down to Netcash. You will be taken to the setup screen. The information from here onwards will only display if you have a Netcash account set up. I will leave a link in the video description if you would like to learn more about Netcash. But let's go ahead and click Next. A salary badge will be created for employees whose payment method has been set as Netcash. 3 fields will display: the badge name, the payment date, and the statement reference for the salary payments from your bank account. When clicking Next, Netcash retrieves the payment information of each employee and does the bank account validation. You will receive an email like the one presented on the screen, confirming that the data in the file has been validated successfully. Back in Sage, click the Make Payment button. A message will pop up stating that the payment file has been submitted successfully. Press OK to continue and proceed to the Sage Connected Services, where you will enter your Netcash login credentials. You will be directed to your Netcash account. Under Services in the top navigation menu, select Payments. Then in the left corner, click on Menu, which will expand to reveal more options. Press Salaries, and under the Salaries menu, select Salary Batches. You will notice that the batch total that needs authorization agrees with the total batch amount from Sage. Click Authorize, and on the next screen, confirm the batch authorization. You will notice that employees can be advised that you will be paying funds into their accounts by email or SMS. The total batch amount, including the fees, must be available in your Netcash account on the payment release date. You have the option to use the available balance or make a bank transfer for the salary batch to be released. Lastly, accept the terms and conditions and press Authorize. We are all familiar with the one-time PIN that will be sent to your phone, which you have to enter to release the batch. You will receive a confirmation email that the salary batch has been authorized with an attached report. By opening the PDF report, you will see that the batch value agrees with your Sage net pay value. I would like to show you where you can view history reports in Netcash. Under Services, select Payments, then click the left menu button and choose Salary Batch Reports. All the past salary batches will be displayed, and right at the top is the latest salary payments batch we have released directly from Sage. You are also able to view a batch summary report and a salary batch detail report, where you can obtain a net salary payment amount per employee. These reports can be saved in case you need to share or store them with your payroll file. In conclusion, the seamless integration of Netcash with Sage Business Cloud Payroll offers a powerful solution for managing your payroll and ensuring timely payments to your employees. With Sage handling the payroll run, you can efficiently calculate and process payroll taxes, generate essential reports, and prepare salary batches. Netcash takes over by securely handling the payment process directly from the payroll software, eliminating the need for manual entries and reducing the risk of errors.
We have come to the end of our comprehensive guide on performing a payroll run, managing payroll taxes, and ensuring timely payments with Sage Business Cloud Payroll and Netcash. If you found this video helpful and are ready to experience the benefits of seamless payroll management, I encourage you to try Sage Business Cloud Payroll. Click the link in the description to get started today. Thank you for watching and sticking with me to the end of the video. Your dedication to improving your payroll process is commendable. Until next time. See you soon.